Hello there, so we're gonna have no fluff here, just swooning over the AI APIs and which one would you want to use and why. So O1 is leading, and that is kinda impressive, yet I would still argue that this lead is a little bit misleading because it is not the best choice for most use cases. And I suppose first of all we could consider just their chat. O1 is leading in reasoning, and the global average, sure, O1 is leading, and it's followed by Gemini Experimental 1206, Gemini 2 Flash Thinking, and DeepSeek. These are all free to talk to. Important to keep in mind. But let's just go through the categories one by one. So, if you need the best of the best in reasoning, then I guess you would go with O1. It really doesn't make sense to go with O1 Mini. Fair enough. And other options kind of come behind that. And then we have coding. So, O1 is leading, and it's kind of tying with Claude. Very interesting. Claude is kind of an odd option because you would not use it as an API. If you just go with the averages, then we can see that Claude is doing okay in the coding, but it's kind of falling behind DeepSeek 2 and DeepSeek 3, I mean. But let's just look at the prices. So we see that O1, well, they have many offerings, but truthfully, all of it is pointless. We got O1 here, which costs 15 per 1 million tokens, which is dang pricey. Claude costs 3 per million, sure, but you still don't want to use their API. It doesn't make sense. It is just something that you select with your GitHub Copilot subscription, I suppose. And then we got to math, O1 is still leading, and data analysis, O1 is actually falling behind. Clearly behind the currently free, and presumably going to be much, much cheaper, Gemini 2 Flash Thinking. And data analysis is something that really pays the bills. So then we got language average 2, and O1 is leading. So yeah, O1 is impressive, but that doesn't really make it the best option, usually. It is a little prohibitively expensive. So compared to Claude, we got DeepSeek, essentially almost at free. But even if they apparently gonna raise the price in February, it's gonna be over 11 times cheaper than even Claude. And in fact, DeepSeek is the main guy that's causing an upset here and making basically everything else is irrelevant. Aside from O1, if you need the best of the best. But one aspect that we still yet to consider, that sure, that you need possibly the best, right? You care about performance, but you also care about possibly speed, but most of all you care about price. Because if a cheaper and possibly faster model can do the same job, then why would you pay for an expensive one? That's where Gemini really comes in. So we got the Gemini here, and the Pro version is pointless. That's irrelevant and completely outclassed by DeepSeek 3. But the Flash version is not. And it's damn cheap, because it's so cheap. So cheap. And it's also kind of fast too. Presumably, Gemini 2 Flash is gonna be in the same realm as well. But it's not just cheap, but you can use it 1,500 times per day for free. Which is completely irrelevant for a bigger operation. But if you just need something to run endlessly, I guess the current limitation is 15 times per minute. Then you can just grab a free key and have it run Gemini Flash, and that's it. But even the paid version is gonna be 4 or 2 times cheaper than even the discounted DeepSeek. And if they raise the price of DeepSeek, then it's gonna be an even better value proposition. And especially so if Gemini 2 Flash is gonna be the same price. So I talked with DeepSeek a little bit here, and we come to the same conclusion. The Gemini Flash is the guy you want, assuming it gets the job done. It's fast and dirt cheap. If Gemini Flash is a little too dumb, then I guess DeepSeek is the guy. We can go back to the live bench and see that this is 4th place. In the Ader, it was 2nd place. It's only really challenged by experimental models by Google. And gotta keep in mind that we have a lot of APIs on this list, and they're all pointless, right? That very much includes many offerings from OpenAI, which are outclassed by at least intelligence and price by DeepSeek. And at the very least, outclassed by price by Gemini Flash. Also gotta keep in mind that while the API is rate limited, you can just talk to Gemini 2 Flash Thinking Experimental endlessly. So personally, I'm a regular visitor at Google AI Studio. Also, DeepSeek Chat is pretty cool too, with its Deep Think that I sometimes use, but most of all search feature. Previously, well, I guess data analysis or even research that would have taken many hours. All it takes one search. So that is pretty much it. Gemini Flash wins for most use cases. DeepSeek, arguably, if you need a little bit more juice. And O1, perhaps if you have a very good reason. Also important to highlight that, although currently we are considering the Gemini 1.5 version of Flash, but if they price the Gemini 2 Flash the same, then it's gonna be very much butting head against DeepSeek. And while it's losing in the coding aspect, seemingly, it is winning in reasoning, but otherwise pretty much tying. So while the focus tends to be a little bit too much on, I would argue, on having good AI, it's also important to have affordable AI, because OpenAI does have the best AI, but it is prohibitively expensive for most use cases. They also have DALL-E, which is also kind of expensive too. It's not something that you can just spam pictures with. So that is it. I would like to see more affordable AI models. And I would argue for most use cases, it's clearly DeepSeek or Gemini Flash. Also, an interesting detour could be that I'm not sure getting much better at coding matters that much. Or at least it matters that much right now. Because unless AI can get to the level where it basically autonomously writes code, it doesn't need that much input. You're basically kind of prompting them to make functions or, just style a thing. So as long as it has enough intelligence to write that, then you mostly care about like speed of how long it takes to do it. I tried to code in a way that like you just tell AI to do a bunch of things and it just gets it wrong, right? So if you can get to that point, then that would be impressive. But if you're just talking about you telling AI to do a thing and just write the function and it does it, then DeepSeek and Claude Sonnet can clearly handle that. But arguably the only problem with O1 is the price. And if you don't need the very best in some cases, then DeepSeek or Gemini Flash is the way to go and nothing else makes sense.